Alexa, play. Even better.
Damn, my chest puffed out this week.
Looking good.
I had to dig deep for this, man. Had to get all my Raven stuff out of the way.
It's been a while.
My Bear stuff out of the way. And all the Broncos stuff out of the way. All those bandwagons that I've gone down. And I will openly admit that I am a NFL bandwagon fan. If you play good defense, you're my favorite team. If you don't, I don't care about you.
Okay.
And the Bengals are playing really good defense, so I like them.
Yeah, they're doing.
I'm not going down that emotional roller coaster, but I like them.
Hey, everybody, here we are, September 30th, episode 34. A couple of your favorite guys, the Tom and Q show. I'm Tom, this is Q. Here we are, 9:30, September 30th.
Show 34. We'll call this the Sweetness Show. Walter Payton. I love it.
Or Bo Jackson.
Oh, well, yeah.
Bo knows.
Bo knows.
Q
Tom
knows.
and Q knows.
We know, right? We know. No wives this week.
No, and it's disappointing because Monday was our
18th anniversary. And so I saw some posts out there. What did you do?
Well, she loves Dave Matthews Band, and I really like music. So that was part of our. It's coincidence we didn't plan it, but he was in town on the 28th. So Monday was the anniversary. Tuesday we got to go to Dave. This week we're flying up to Massachusetts to hang out with Paige and spend get a little weekend getaway. So that is what we are doing. So it's like a week-long anniversary week-ish.
A week-iversary, right?
Yes.
So you brought up a keyword. We're going to skip ahead.
Okay.
You're going to UMass. Are you going to attend the Minutemen football game?
Man, I'm twisting her arm, but Paige is playing 3 games, and we got a small window of Paige time.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to go to the football game.
Because I was really hoping for some more live updates. So as you know, we've kind of added the UMass Minutemen as our our show's adopted, I don't want to say favorite football team, but our adopted go-to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So,
good or bad, they have not let us down.
A couple moving parts to this, but I had a conversation yesterday about our show. We had a girl comment that we're a sports show, and I said we're not. We talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about Dog the Bounty Hunter. We're going to talk about Britney Spears. We're going to talk about a lot of things of political, not political, but the Northwest Local School District Board.
Yeah.
And, we're going to talk about local things that we can relate to, our childhood, and we're pretty versatile people. But yeah, she kind of called us out for being one-tracked, one-dimension show. So
it's funny that
we talk beer.
Maybe she only caught a portion of it.
Yeah.
Right? And so for those of you that don't know, or if you're listening to this now in your car or truck radio, I always just wanted to say that because they say that all the time, like during Red's broadcast. If you're listening now in your car or truck radio, reminder to buckle up, right?
But yeah, I had to explain to her that we got topics that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
And we got a bell and
news, weather, sports on the 9s.
And I mentioned that Pete Rose is one of the things that we're not allowed to talk about because if we're in Cincinnati and that's where our topic goes, we're just not prepared. We don't look like we're progressing forward, and it's kind of a default easy topic in this town. And we've challenged ourselves to get creative on what we talk about.
Right.
And with talking about UMass football, we decided to talk about the 130th ranked college football team.
Yes.
CBS just posted college football rankings. Colorado, Washington State join the bottom 25, and Ohio University takes over the number 1 ranking of the top 25, or the bottom 25, which would be your new 130th ranked college football team.
I got you.
Out of 130. So I think it's neat that we started talking about this about a month ago.
And they've picked up on it. There's a lot of things that we've talked about.
We are trendsetters, man.
That, we don't get enough run.
No.
So we'll leave that up to the listeners to give us some run, because we are way out ahead of a lot of things.
Yes.
Out there that...
We're going to rival Barstool Sports with our...
Maybe we should start a tally on some of the stuff that we talk about and bring up, and then all of a sudden,
Boom.
There it is.
It's out there.
We talked about it. You guys are way behind. We just don't have, the followers. So, yeah, get our followers up. Like it, share it, whatever you got to do. Get us some people. We need some people. We love the people that are here. We love the people that have helped us, such as White Oak Productions in their DJ business, weddings, parties, funerals, whatever it takes to kind of get you going.
I love that stuck.
They get the best music, have the best time, have the best party with the best people. Local legends with Ryan Weber and his clothing line, the best logo in the world for my money.
The best meaning behind a brand.
Absolutely.
To highlight the ones that are in your community that make a difference in the community.
And the swag is awesome.
Yes.
The swag is awesome. Fretboard Brewery, they're world renowned. We really don't need to say a whole bunch about them. I mean, they just show up and win trophies, unlike many teams around here, right? They just show up and win trophies. So visit these local establishments. You can get, if you go to Local Legends, you can get a discount. Promo code Tom and Q gives you 15% off of all of your Local Legends gear, right? So I didn't look at this yet. And I'm going to apologize up front by saying last week's show was a complete and total cluster, right? Some self-inflicted with powering down and sound issues and all the like, right? And so Facebook, in their infinite wisdom, completely muted our part 2 of last week's show.
Right, and I was asking you, did we talk about anything? Because, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of censorship on social media, but we don't. That's another great thing about this show is we stay away from those.
Yeah, we'll get into some
polarizing topics.
Nothing. I don't think anything. I mean, again, nowadays people get offended by everything, so I'm sure there's a time where we've offended somebody or turned somebody off, but we don't care. So, so needless to say, backing up, Facebook muted our entire show and kind of let you behind the curtain a little bit. I take these shows that we do live. I'm able to download them on the computer, convert them into YouTube videos, and convert them into podcasts. So instead of our usual hour and a half, 2-hour show, it was cut to an hour because there's no point in putting something out there that you actually can't hear, let alone on a podcast.
Right.
So that happened last week. So if you hear us the music might be a little down. It's just to kind of make sure that flow is consistent.
Yep.
We haven't made any money off of what we're doing, so we're not monetizing any of this stuff. So, Pearl Jam, Metallica, you types of bands that, Guns N' Roses that get paid a lot of money and like to get paid a lot of money, we're the least of your concerns. So, with that being said, I have not looked at the podcast numbers. Okay. Just to see, because we talked about this each week.
If our world growth.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna
our global coverage.
I'm gonna guess we did it. I'm gonna guess this might be our worst week. We had good topics, we had good content, but when nobody can hear your content, it just becomes you and I talking in a vacuum, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna walk.
But we enjoy one another, though.
Absolutely, that's why we did this, right?
So, yes.
It's like when you think that you're funny. When each other think that you're funny, it's like, who would think this funny? Everybody should think this is funny.
And I always say if we talk long enough, something smart's going to come out. Right. So if you watch long enough, you're going to hear something smart.
So I'm going to take a look right now and see.
See what we've got going on with our following. So the big thing is our download in Germany that we take a tremendous amount of pride in, and last week we had India, which completely caught us off guard. We weren't expecting that, so we like to see our global presence, and just the overall numbers of.
So last week's title was Pumpkin Spice.
Pumpkin Spice.
Okay, we have 6 downloads of that show last week.
Ooh, that's good.
More than the week before. So it's a hot show. People love it. So we had 2 on Friday, which is the day it was published, 1 Monday, 1 Thursday.
So we got 2. So we got 2 fans out there. We love you guys. Thank you so much. But they were just waiting for it to get posted. As soon as it got posted, they downloaded it.
Yeah. So
it's like Christmas morning to them.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Somebody's playing it. 2 people are playing it on there. I can see all this data. You wonder if I can do this. You know what Facebook's looking at, right?
Yes.
So, all right, let's see our coverage. Interesting.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Our good friend, I really wish he would, or she, whoever it is,
Would make themselves known.
yes, would send us an email, send us a text, because for the 3rd week in a row, we have reached Europe. We have reached Germany, Frankfurt, Germany.
Germany.
Whoever you are out there, you are like a tremendous person. Because you just continue to show up, just like us, week in and week out. I don't know how long you're listening. Maybe 30 seconds. Might even be accident. You might have friends that are Tom and Q, and you're just accidentally typing in. Whatever you're doing, just keep going.
But you're downloading it, so we
Yes.
assume you're listening to it as you.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh.
Boomer. Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
Couple here in Amelia, Harrison. Annville, Kentucky. I have no idea where Annville, Kentucky is.
Annville, Kentucky. Does anyone know where Annville, Kentucky is? No disrespect to Annville, Kentucky. It's just.
We have reached Germany. We have reached the heartland of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here in Cincinnati. And Annville, Kentucky. So there you go. That's our pod stats. Pod stats, if you will. Get our listeners up. Hashtag. That's right. That's right. Get our listeners up.
I'm looking for Annville, Kentucky. Is it A-N-V? How would you spell Annville?
2 ands.
2 ands.
Yep. We could ask our tech girl to look it up. You're doing way too much work.
134 miles away.
Okay.
So 2 hours and 51 minutes.
Somewhere down around Lexington, Louisville. Elizabethtown,
so
Kentucky.
you will go near past Richmond, Kentucky, which is Eastern Kentucky campus. So you're looking to get down like London, Kentucky.
Okay.
So you'll go past Lexington, go that route.
Yeah.
As if you're going toward Knoxville.
Okay.
So just keep going down, and between Lexington and the Tennessee border.
Is that?
It's like right in the middle there. There's
Is that-
Daniel Boone National Forest.
Yep. Yeah.
It's that's it.
So-
Like it's McKee.
Kind of in Appalachia. A little bit of the mountains right there. Kind of
yeah.
Jellicoe Mountain down there. Cumberland.
Yeah, you're getting some valleys and rolls.
Norris Lake. Somebody out there on a boat?
Ooh, Norris Lake's a little further down.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, but hey, somebody's
Somebody's, hey, got no complaints
who
from me.
cares where they're at? They're
Don't
downloading it. We appreciate you. We thank you.
If we can just get India back, as well as continue to put it out there for, even if it was just one download and it was the gentleman or woman in Frankfurt, Germany,
Yes.
that'd be amazing.
So Tom and I are big dreamers, and we like to track it here. So right now, this episode, we're gonna cut this and play it later. So when people have their dieting pictures of before and after, we're gonna have the. Remember when we were talking about 6 downloads?
Yeah.
And we're gonna have the 6 download show and the 2 download show, and then we're gonna have the thousands of download show.
So my
Millions.
my show of the week last week was Startup.
Okay.
Right?
All
And
right.
So, and one of the things that they did was they created this dark web, right? And they were it starts with, like, they hit the criminals, right? They hit the drug users, and they hit the drug dealers, and the guns, and they get
Selling your soul.
they get these people to operate on their web because it's the security. Nobody can match it. Nobody can find it.
Right.
And eventually they go, they start trying to go straight and kind of go worldwide. Well, one of the things that they had this huge giant ticker, right? So think of Fretboard had their Instagram and Facebook like ticker, right?
Yeah.
And so they had this ticker, and it was like when they got to 1 million views, they threw a party. When they got to 10 million viees, it was huge. They were just making more money. So
Yeah.
we don't really have a ticker, but if we can get to 10, we might have to bring back the Nacho Man and get some nachos out here.
Yes.
Have a little bit of a celebration. And then the next milestone, 100.
So Jacob, who watches every week and listens in every week, my nephew.
Yeah.
Love you too, buddy. His anniversary is Monday as well.
Yeah.
He just said to get our followers up.
Yeah.
what we're doing, man. And it's funny because we're competitive guys, so we like, and I'm not throwing any names out there, but we looked at other local celebrities, if you will,
Yeah.
that have a huge influence on the ESPN level, and it's interesting that we have more followers than them, and on our end we can see how many people watch the show, and it's, so I think we're in a good spot of growth.
I think their percentage of listeners is probably a little bit better.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah,
But that's okay.
That's all right. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We started at the bottom, now we're here, right? We started at the, So we're gonna play. Let's play a song, and continue to. Let's go back
86. I love it.
over last week again.
Rock. Ooh, that's my wheelhouse. Number 2, man, I couldn't have started off with a better spin than that. That's for
Top
sure.
rock songs, 1986.
Dwayne Cabe, yes, we're going to figure something out. I've been thinking about you a lot these last couple weeks about how we can get something figured out. But maybe at your house, set the cameras up and play some games as we're talking. I don't know, but we'll figure something out.
Oh, this is mine. And we talked about this a few weeks ago after we went on vacation. This is awesome. This is mine and Austin's. This is what we call our song.
Yeah?
Yeah. Every time we hear it, Dad, they're playing our song. Austin, they're playing our song. Alexa, play Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. This is what we karaoke to at Shuck'em's,
Okay.
right, in Panama City a few
You ever
months
see
ago.
that video that went viral where the fan came down and he was dancing to the song and kind of a skinny, awkward built guy just tearing it up?
Are we still live over there?
Looks like it.
Okay, cool. I don't know what happened there. All right. Karaoke, yeah. Kevin was there. He was there for that. It was, and we're going back. We're going back next year. It's great, and so we're excited.
Going back to that tournament next year.
Yeah, going back to that tournament. We're actually staying right across from this place, which was best oysters I ever had. I don't know if you're an oyster guy,
Sure.
but phenomenal. Could have been the drinks I had prior, but I've never been shy to get in front of an audience, specifically of people I don't know, to make a fool of myself. So
Right.
Austin looked a little bored. I said, "Hey man, what do you want to karaoke?" Thinking he's going to say no, and he was like, yeah, I do. What songs do you got? And I've heard him sing this before. Like, let's do it.
Right.
And he's just screaming in the mic. It was hilarious, man. I wish there was video of it. It was absolutely hysterical. But he had a blast, so which was obviously the most important part. So as dads, right?
Right.
If you're able to set yourself aside and not take yourself serious
Yes.
in the effort of letting the people that you love have a good time, it's well worth it. And stories, my dad always said to me, like, a good story is better than a good time any day. So like when you have, and that it's actually one of my mantras, right? Is that you have a bad day or something happened, right? And as long as it's not life-threatening where people get hurt, but like you just feel it's terrible.
Yes.
You're right, like this. Oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, I'm having a bad day. Or what happened? Like you wouldn't believe what happened. This happened. I can't believe it. And at the time, you're angry, but then you look back, it's like it becomes an enjoyable story
100%.
to tell.
100%.
Sitting around the campfire saying, this one time, right? And
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. Like the perfect wedding. Who wants to go to a perfect wedding, man?
nope.
Who wants to have a perfect birthday party? Who wants to have a perfect graduation? Like, who wants anything to be perfect? Like, you have nothing to talk about when you're done.
You said wedding. What's funny, as a kid, put yourself in a kid's shoes, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, your parents or you'd know somebody that went to the wedding and they would come home and you see on TV, you may kiss the bride. And there's no perfect weddings on TV. There's always somebody crashing in.
Yeah.
No, I love you.
Right.
And I love you. We can't get married. So, like, my question always to those people, again, I was much younger. So, did he kiss the bride? Did it actually happen? Like, it was like the cliffhanger. Like, you're going to the wedding? Did it actually happen?
Hear ye! Hear ye!
Did the wedding take place? I gotta know. Because in my
On with the wedding.
6-7-year-old mind, I'm like, only 50% of weddings actually take place, right? And what's funny,
That's
you know,
great.
you grow up and it's like, yeah, you know what? That was a pretty dumb thought. Pretty much every wedding goes through once they get to that point. The marriage may not
A
last,
runaway bride. yes.
but that day is going to go forward, right?
The wedding happens.
I've actually
The 1 year anniversary. Maybe
sketch,
not.
maybe. Yeah. So, what's funny is I actually said this to a friend of mine. They went. I'm going to see him later at night, so I don't know if if he's listening or not. But so he's got a friend, a family member that was getting married in Pittsburgh. He was the best man.
Right.
And this was over the summer, maybe in the spring. So he's going up to this wedding, bought his, rented his tux, travel arrangements, everything else, and then gets there. And apparently the soon-to-be husband and wife got into a unreconcilable difference, and the night before said,
Tomorrow's not happening.
not happening. That is the first wedding in my lifetime that has taken it to the goal line and couldn't punch it in.
Wow. It's like Tennessee Titan-esque.
Yes. You
Reaching, getting stuff on the
I
foot.
mean-
Oh my goodness.
I mean, people, for your guests alone, walk down the aisle, annul it. I know divorce is expensive. Pretend, for crying out loud. Like,
right.
do whatever you got to do. Fake it. Fake it, because there's a lot of money. Mom and dad, husband, wife, families spend a lot of money on weddings.
So in our line of work, sometimes we have to deal with divorce,
Yeah.
and we have to arrange where there's multiple closings
Yeah.
because
Which,
of
by
that.
the way, if you were getting divorced, feel free to reach out. Tom Talby, Quentin Suggs, Mark Graber, Talby Suggs Group. Have us help you in the separation of your.
Yeah. So I had
House.
one I sat with, and this guy just
Shameless
the
plug.
conversation went crazy, and I just listened, and they ended up working it out. Like, good, man. Moved to Florida. They're still married to this day. I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I sat in his house because they were getting divorced and they needed to
Yeah.
make that happen. But they ended up sticking together, so that's a positive.
It's a win.
That's what we're cheering for to happen. Is the making it.
This is probably a topic for a whole different show.
Yes.
I mean, I bet
Just
you.
coming off of my anniversary and
You and I
yeah,
could
it's-
talk
it's-
for hours about dealing with clients, divorced clients,
Oh yeah.
getting divorced.
So where I was going to go with that is with that broken wedding night,
Yeah.
and we have to have separate closings. Just say, hey, wife, you're allowed to go to the first half of the reception. You
Yes.
got to leave, and then husband, you can come in and close it down, or vice versa. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who closes, but we're all here. We're ready. Let's have a party of some kind.
I was gonna say, at minimum, throw the reception.
Yeah. You guys just come at different times. Like you sit out in a parking lot. You got to rotate in and out, or just be mature adults and say, hey,
Yes.
I still like my friends. You still like your friends. You can have that half of the room. We'll have this half of the room, and do it.
That's it. That's it. That would have been the
Cares how
solution.
it's already awkward.
So I had
Just go with it.
a client one time. I had ran into them and met them through another client at the time, and they were super nice and young. I don't know how long they had been married, but they had kids and stuff were involved.
2005.
And about a year and a half later, the husband calls me. He says, "Hey man,"
Country.
he says, "gonna need to put her house on the market, getting a divorce." And I'm like, "Oh really?" I mean, obviously you feel for him. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything's okay. But sure, absolutely. Anything, if you need help, I'm here to help you. So fine, we go down and we do the process of listing their house for sale. And from that point forward, basically from that first date, this guy freaking hated me.
I ran into that before too, man.
So
It
where-
made it awkward.
Well, I'm not sure if we had to have two separate closings. This guy, I'm on my way to the closing. He's cussing me out on the phone, accusing me of things that I never even thought about, like just emotions completely take over. And it is just, and I get it, but we are not the ones that
Yeah, all because you're mad at her, dude.
Yes.
Don't.
Nope.
No.
We're here to do you a service.
Yeah.
And, the funny thing about that is honestly, pat myself on the back. I did do a great job for her, mainly because he was such a jerk, right? But found her a place, whatever. And then, a couple years later, all of a sudden, the place I found hers for sale. And I'm looking, I'm like, really? I freaking crushed that deal. So I texted her and I said, what? Did I do something wrong? Whatever. And she was like, no, you were awesome. She goes, I'm actually getting back together with my ex-husband, and one of the stipulations were it couldn't be me.
Right.
And I'm like, that son of a yeah, what a jerk, dude.
Well, glad they're back together. Hope they still are, because I'm always a fan of that. But that's
Alexa.
People get petty.
Play "Gone" by Montgomery Gentry.
Yeah, people get petty, man.
It's just funny, not to go down that work, but
but I think this is going to segue into other things that we have planned as far as perspective of the way things happen in life,
Very
the
true.
way we see things, and it just people bring a bad day of work home to their family sometimes, and
so
you're in a tough spot in your life. Don't take it out on other people, man.
Correct.
Put that where it belongs and navigate through it and quit bringing people into your misery.
So, speaking of perspective, and staying on last week's show, people have a different perspective of one particular song. Woot,
Yeah.
whoop, or whoop.
I hope we left it that we both whoop. There it is.
No, we
tag
didn't.
team. Yeah.
We didn't. Alexa said that. I crossed off woot. Woot is off the list.
Correct.
But whoop is not off the list. I believe the M does not belong in there.
So we went which song did we like better?
We like that one better.
We like whoop better.
Yes.
But is it got a P or I'm sorry, does it have an M or no M?
Yes, the perspective of the listener when you're listening to it, it's kind of like do you remember that commercial where the guy I think it was an insurance company where he's in the car and he's singing Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard, and it's like, pour some sugar on me. They're wrong, and we've all been there, where it's like you're singing a song, you don't really know what they say, and you're just kind of put them all together, right?
Yes.
And it kind of reminded me of that. Each perspective is going to be different on what you hear.
Yes.
The message is still the same, woot, whoop, whoomp, there it is. It's still right there.
Yes.
Right? The location of whatever it is still the same. There it is. It's right there. Whoop. There it is.
I think the audience liked the no, just drop the M. It's whoop. There it is.
I like that better.
I think I do too. But I think that the technical song has the M in it.
I think you're right, because that's where Dwayne says it's whoop. It's whoop. Yeah. We agree. We agree on that.
It's a P, yeah.
Also perspective. We're going to get into this a little bit more, but, off-topic perspective. Fall, the seasons change, right? The seasons change. Our taste, we talked about, seemed to change.
Which is an interesting thing.
Right? And in term...
And I started saying mine don't really, but as we dove deeper, it was like, yes, it 100% does.
I
don't crave chili at the beginning of July the way I'd crave chili at the end of November or September.
The chillier it gets, right? If I'm wearing jeans, I like some rock. I like some country. If I'm wearing shorts, tank tops, flip-flops, I want some beach music, some hip-hop, some party music,
Will Smith, Summertime. Yep.
It's so my perspective on, and then we talked about apple and obviously pumpkin spice. I'm a bigger apple fan.
Yep.
And I don't know if I asked this. I remember thinking this last week. When you were growing up in high school and you went and or even middle school, wherever it was, and you would get candy at the concession stand, whatever, lunch lady, and whatever it was, you'd end up with, or even Halloween, you'd end up with a Jolly Rancher, and it was sour apple, or a Blow Pop with sour apple. I like it too. Maybe not my favorite, but how many people diss on sour apple?
I don't know. So 2 years ago. See, I don't really like Skittles. They're too sweet for me. So
Okay.
I don't eat them.
I've actually liked them more recently than ever in the past, but I'm with you.
So the girls like them.
Okay.
It's one of Audrey's favorite candies. So Jessica bought like the big bag of them, and they're just sitting around the house and is snacking on or whatever. And I'm just sitting there staring at the bag, and I see all the colors, and it's one of those moments in life that I'm fully disclosed that, oops, I was today years old when I knew that each color Skittle is its own individual flavor.
Yeah.
Didn't know that until
Really?
like 2 years ago. Had no clue. I just thought they were like M&Ms, multiple colors, but all the same flavor.
I got a story about you. Kind of Tom's yesterday, but it's short.
All right,
Go ahead.
so M&Ms all taste the same, different colors,
Yeah.
right? So I assumed all Skittles were just different colors but sweet candy. And I was like, whoa, because I love apple anything. Absolutely love it. So I'm like, cool. And now one of my favorite candies on the planet are green Skittles. I go through the bag.
Okay.
Every time they get them, I go through and I get all the green ones. And the family knows that I love them so much, so they'll separate out the green for me, and I will just eat the green Skittles. And it's one of my favorite candies. But Skittles, I don't care
So,
for.
I told you that I've kind of become this, been traveling down this TikTok hole, right?
Yeah.
And you get a lot of, and I love them. It's hilarious because it's real life, right? It's real life.
Right.
You get husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and for better or for worse, pun intended, they put on TikTok like these real life. Now it's not live video. A lot of it's staged or people tricking each other, but they put on these arguments or pranks or fights or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And so like I joke all the time. Like there are things like, especially watching it, there are things that like Nicole and I will get into, discussions, conversations, arguments, bickering, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure she has those for me. Probably not as many as I have for her, but things that annoy me, right? So like
Right.
I'm going to start my own TikTok page or my own like little things that annoy Dad, right? And I'm sure she has probably one or two out there that, So one of them being, we had homecoming here a few weeks ago, and she set out. She's a perfect planner. She set out this dish. It had peanuts and candy corns. You ever had peanuts and candy corns together?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you're missing out.
Yeah, okay. I will do that. I like both.
Have you ever had a payday?
Yes,
Do you like payday candy bars?
very much.
Okay. Eat.
Is that the flavor?
Yes.
Interesting.
Eat that because I'm telling
Candy
you.
corn and peanuts
Yes.
is a poor man's payday.
It's exactly what it is. It's even if you don't like, even if you like one but not the other, try it.
Okay. I like them both. So and I
Unless
like
you have a
paydays.
nut allergy, do not take my advice.
Yeah.
Try
Yes.
it. So she had a dish. She had those, and then M&Ms and Skittles. Things that bother Dad. Putting M&Ms and Skittles in the same dish. Because here's what happens when you have little kids. They reach in and they grab the M&Ms.
Yeah.
And the M&Ms go into the Skittles, or vice versa. So you're thinking, I'm going to get this
Sweet
nice chocolatey melts in your mouth, not in your hands, and you chew it for about 15 minutes because you got a lime Skittle inside the M&M. That happened to me last night. I'm like, I just want,
I wonder.
I was good. I would like, said, man, I got a sweet tooth. I grab a handful of Skittles, fine. Got a sweet, you know what? Let's go with the M&Ms. Fine. Last night, I'm reaching in. It's a little low. The barrel's a little empty. Reach in. This is the worst part. This is where it's like, husbands, they can't ever find anything, right? Or kids, they can't ever find everything. And don't look. I am picking through this handful of M&Ms, all the Skittles out. I'm like, I got them. Dump them in my mouth, and I'm like, how did I miss one?
Well, they're the same thing.
They are.
It's acceptable to miss one.
Well, but the difference, so it's like, I never realized, like you said,
We'll grade you on that curve.
you are this much years old in terms of this. So I am this much years old to realizing that Skittles had an S on them.
Oh, interesting. So yeah,
I'm
like, are
the
you
second
kidding me?
handful, guess what I did? Set them aside. S's and M's.
It's S&M.
That's it. That's it. Like, things that bother Dad. Skittles and M&M's together to where nobody can tell the difference.
That's funny.
So-
But back to another one, just to throw it out there. The candy corn and peanuts, I will 100% try. I was introduced to a long time ago in high school, Milk Duds and popcorn at the same time. It's like a chewy, caramely popcorn.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
So
phenomenal.
as I've gotten older, it's crazy how
92 hip hop. Yeah.
you mix flavors. Even
16.
in terms of like a barbecue.
Yeah.
I was
Sweet
I don't know
and
how
sour.
you are. Like I love grilling, I love smoking, I love all that type of stuff. Like just the barbecue alone. I love
Yeah.
the smell, I love the taste. There's not much more of a better feeling than pulling something off of a smoker or grill and getting that satisfying feeling of, damn, I just grilled this and damn, it's good.
Everybody likes it.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and so I'll be on Facebook or whatever, and I'll be scrolling down, and Facebook, the spies that they are, they whatever you talk about all of a sudden shows up in your timeline.
Yeah.
So I'm watching, it's like I come across these, I think it's barbecue pit boys, right? And it's these guys, it's like this team of people. They've got a backyard full of grills, and they can smoke, they can sear, they can do whatever they want. They've got 18 million different types of grills, and they have all these different chunks of meat, and they just sit there and talk about how they do these certain things.
Alexa, play Mr. Wendell, Arrested Development.
So
Go ahead, Mr. Wendell.
I'm falling down
That's a
this
great song.
trap of I can't get out of watching these guys cook, right? And I've got a decent grill, so I've done ribs. I do good ribs. They're good. But they're like peanut butter and jelly ribs. I'm like, and I'm watching this guy do this, and it's like, the older I've gotten, the sweet and the salty or the bitter and like those contrast in flavors,
Yeah.
I've become a huge fan of. Sea salt caramel,
Yeah.
awesome. Like
Sweet and sour
Yes.
combo. Yeah, the oxymoron of foods.
my kids, my people make fun of me because when we go to Grader's or to an ice cream place, you know what my favorite flavor is? Mocha chip. So you have the bitterness of a
Yeah,
coffee
of it.
flavor
Yeah.
and the sweetness of an
something.
ice cream chocolate chip.
Yep.
It's
They got
awesome.
I'm raspberry's starting to grow on me a lot lately.
I introduced
There's a lot of raspberry things that I'm starting to.
I introduced Austin to Grader's black raspberry chip
Yeah.
at the Reds game. He's like, "You think?" And I just got cookie dough and whatever because I like cookie
Sure.
dough. And I was like, "Well, if you don't like it, you and I can just switch." No, he hammered down on some black raspberry chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It is.
So-
it is delicious.
A little bit of an update from last week. Last week we talked about, obviously, if you've been with us, my wife Nicole, she's running for school board, okay? And last week we talked about people trolling her school board page.
Yeah, I say we keep the trolls to almost like a Charlie Hustle-esque.
Yeah,
Like, they're not even worth the time.
They're not.
You know how the games, they like somebody runs on the field, they just move the cameras. You get no airtime.
Yeah, but that's stupid. They should show the guy get drilled.
But, right. So trolls, you get no airtime.
You wanna deter it? Show what actually happens to that person.
Yes.
But it is hilarious because again, you'll follow TikTok and like Bob Menery. Have you ever seen Bob Menery? Okay. So homework for you. I want you to go on TikTok and search Bob Menery.
Okay.
Okay. He's crude. He's rude. There's language, right? But he's got a tremendous voice for broadcasting.
Okay.
So he takes things that happen maybe the night before, the week before, and puts his voiceover on this announcement.
All right. So yeah. John Boy does that stuff. And,
It's similar, very similar.
Yes. Okay.
So he'll do it to some of the dumbest stuff, like guy runs on the field, streaker, whatever. Like, check it out. It's freaking hilarious. That's why I think
okay.
they should show it.
Okay.
They should show it because if the guy gets creamed, tased, like even better, tase him. Like,
Yeah.
So I have no problem with that with that type of stuff. I agree with you. The trolls, the update on that is we really didn't get trolled so much as opposed to
Someone not so you got someone from another district commenting on this, and then you've got someone that's not even running have an opinion on someone that is. So it's
to another level.
If you're going to sit on your couch and take shots at somebody out working in the world,
yes,
shut up.
Working to make whether your perspective is the same or not.
Correct.
Working to make this particular world, this particular district, a better place in her perspective.
I'm in the world, and my perspective could even change. You know why? Because I'm in the world doing something and applying myself.
Yes.
If you're on a couch, or even if you're a hard worker, but in another craft, in another field, don't cross over.
Right. Don't say something just to say something.
Yes.
You've heard it, right? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Correct.
Right? So we have
What
crossed.
weren't we allowed to say as little kids? Shut up.
Yeah. We say it all the time.
Shut up.
It's like your first kid, it's like, oh, you can't tell him to shut up. The second kid, it's like, okay, hush. And then like after like a couple times of hush, it's like, shh. Okay, just shut up. Just shut up. And then the third kid, it's like, can you just shut up already?
You're right.
Like, that's all again.
So perspective.
Another topic for another day. So the trolls have moved on from doing it so far online to where, again, no publicity is bad publicity, and people take shots at you because they're threatened by you, or you've reached a level to where people think that's actually possible for you to win. In her case, right?
Yes.
So we need people to get out and vote for, and just smash all these trolls and really stick it where the sun don't shine. But we've got to the point now where, and it was bound to happen, you put enough yard signs out there, and so now someone is around taking her signs down where she has approval to have them, which is big. I'm a big fan of, like, hey, if you're going to put a sign somewhere, if somebody owns it, make sure they're okay with it.
It's and this is not work related, but I heard a mic drop comment, and it's just stuck, and I'm glad to know that I'm taking up real estate in your head for free.
Correct. Yeah. No, it's really good.
Absolutely. That's such a mic drop, because I'm in your head. Yeah. You're not in mine.
Yeah. I'm not going to let you get to me.
No, I'm taking up space in your head for free.
You think about it all you want. It's not going to happen to me. So where now people are stealing her signs out of yards. By the way, just an FYI, if it's you, we pretty much know who you are. About 99.5% sure of the person, and I'm pretty sure this person in particular can't even vote. So I would suggest you stop, because there's video everywhere.
Oh.
I'll say that. Okay, so that is where we've come to at this point. Now.
Yeah, well,
and again, kids are
rings
are
everywhere, man. Rings are everywhere. You're not getting away.
You don't have the freedom that we do.
Yes. So when we talked about our childhood growing up and videos and phones, and I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, the number of people that are recorded throughout. You cannot make it through a day if you're a productive human being without being on a camera somewhere. It's literally impossible.
You came to my door. You know how I knew you came to my door?
Yes.
I got the notification.
Ours is censored. We can put it on different.
Now, it is annoying when the kids are out front playing, and I keep getting notifications of someone's at your front door. Someone's by your. I've got cameras everywhere but down here. This is like the no camera zone.
Right.
Right. But well, I guess not. We've got a camera down here right now, but after we leave, the camera goes away. So yeah, we know who you are. I would suggest stop, because video is everywhere. You're always being videoed, whether you're doing it, whether somebody else is doing it.
That's hilarious. So that's another reason you just can't give them the airtime, because the level of intelligence to think you can go out and do anything without a camera catching you somewhere. That's just who you are, man.
Yeah.
You're that level of intelligence, and I'm taking up free space in your head.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to truck on. What is it? Touch It by Monif? Do we know that song?
I don't.
Alexa, play Touch It by Monif.
Touch It by Monifa.
Monifa. There was an H on the end.
Your perspective was Monif.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about perspective. Okay. But let's get a little deeper on not just the word perspective, but what perspective does to an individual. Okay. You've got that.
I do know this song.
You've got the cliche of a lot of times
100% know this song. Go ahead. Sorry.
perspective becomes reality, right? Cliche number one. Perspective becomes reality.
100%.
And, we could use Pac-Man Jones because you've talked to him personally, right? And you've had personal interactions with him. And you probably have a different perspective as opposed to somebody that's never talked to him before but only sees what
the media sees.
What the media sees and what's been put out there.
100%.
Right? In terms of like our business, we've always said, like, we've always tried to pride ourselves on not burning any bridges before we even knew we were going to get into the bridges. We were just always trying to be good people.
Right.
Did we always succeed in that? No, not necessarily. But, to the point of where it's like, I was never purposefully hateful to somebody. I
just don't have time for it, man.
No,
I just don't.
And if I didn't feel something was right,
I just got to move on.
I would try not to do that.
Yes.
So, and it's probably helped our business tenfold, the fact that the people that we are, in terms of that. So the perspective on us, I'm hoping that the perspective on us and on this show is, hey, these are just good dudes that are just talking, right? There's different types of perspectives out there. And if you think about it, perspectives really guide the world.
Yeah.
In whatever direction it is, whether you're talking politics, you might have somebody, and we don't get into this stuff a whole lot, but you have the right, you have the left, and then you have common sense. Right?
Yeah, you got like 10% over here, 10% over here, and 80% of the people in the middle.
So those perspectives are going to be different.
Yes.
So when I'm talking about perspective, I'm not talking so much of a black and white issue as I am, if you think about it, how much do you let somebody else drive what your perspective is?
Ooh, so influencers, man. Yeah, go keep going.
Because you have, every kid, your first influencer, your first perspective driver, more than likely is going to be your parents.
I had an interesting conversation with, when I was dropping Paige off to school, her roommate, is from Arizona, phenomenal ball player. But she was talking about, she absolutely adores her older brother. They have just listening to her talk about him, the relationship they have, it's really cool. And it kind of gives you the chills when she just kind of, how much she appreciates and values her brother's role in her life.
Yeah.
And she said, it's so funny because I'm so influenced by him that anything he says, I just believe. And I just do it like blindly. Because I have so much trust and faith and love toward him that whatever he says, she said, I know he could be 100% wrong, but he says just do whatever. And she said, I can't not do it because of where I have him in, like, on this ladder of escalated in my life. And I'm like, man, I was like, Bella, that's so interesting. It's so cool. And it's so interesting at the same time that her mind is open to that. And I think a lot of us are.
Yeah. I think
our mind's open to certain things.
You get older.
Yeah.
And life experiences kind of take over in terms of perspective and what you think. But
we do have that influencer.
Unless you're far right or far left, then you're sheep for the right or you're sheep for the left. You know what I mean?
And then there's someone influencing us there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's amazing to me how. Like,
what are they? Free thinkers is a word that floats around out there.
That's why I
don't have influence. I'm a free thinker.
Yeah,
I
sure
think
you
for
are.
myself. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Nobody is.
That's why I made the comment of you have the common sense people in the middle that are looking at both sides of things and saying, okay, well, maybe I like what he says over here about this. Maybe I like what he says over here about this. I don't like everything about this guy, girl. I don't like everything about it. But then you have the others that are like, just like what she just said, and she's younger, but like, oh, it don't matter what he says. I hate this person so much that my perspective is whatever this guy says is true. Or whatever this guy says over here, I hate this person over here so much, this has got to be true.
Audrey's room's a mess. One of her friends is talking about how messy her room is, and she said, I read an article that people who have messy rooms are more enjoyable to be around, they're more productive,
Yeah.
And I said, kiddo, I said, it's interesting that you're going to find an article that supports your case.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you're not going into that unbiased, open-minded as a free thinker.
Correct.
You're going to say, I'm biased toward this way of lifestyle. What supports my lifestyle? Oh, I found an article that supports my lifestyle. I'm all in.
Yes. And it's this, I read those articles too, and I'm a firm believer in that women are really starting to turn towards the dad bod as opposed to the Chippendale body. I believe that to be true.
Yeah.
Dad
Dad bods are 60% approval rate.
It's perspective, right?
Yeah.
The
Joe Rogan said, who asked that? Who was standing next to the person when they asked that question, right?
Yes.
So 60% of the women were standing next to their husbands when they answered,
yes.
Yeah, he's attractive.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah, right. Correct. So, when you're talking about perspective, you do need to be careful. And it's great. We talked a little bit about this last week, and I talked to, just in discussions about it. Like, I try the older I get to make my perspective, my opinion, more so history-based. Whether it's somebody else did something or my personal life experiences, I've done something or seen something, and you either want to repeat that performance or you don't ever want to do it again, right? So it's like, don't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
So my perspective has always been that. So the older I become and the more life experiences that I have, the same way, that our parents and people that were older than us that surrounded us that told us it was a good idea, it was a bad idea, along the same lines is like everybody's looking for approval upon their perspective.
Yes.
And should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, what are you waiting for? Well, I'm really just waiting for somebody to say yes.
Yes.
And I think as a society, that's a lot of what we do. We're waiting on, right or wrong, we're waiting on somebody else's approval of what our perspective is. And
it's a confidence thing. It's sometimes your perspective is spot on. It's right. You're afraid to come out and say it because you don't hear it as the popular opinion. And then when you do hear somebody say it, it's like, oh, that's so comforting that because I've always thought this way. It's so good to hear somebody else think that way. And sometimes you don't hear your opinion,
right,
because it's just wrong.
Well, and even with that, right? So we as a society have gotten to the point where we are so polarized that other people's perspective, they need, before they'll let their perspective be known, they need the approval.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I want to get to the point where it's like, can we have a discussion about two different perspectives on things?
Yeah.
And just go, you know what? Not that you're wrong, not that I'm right. I don't see it that way. You don't see it my way. Okay, great. Agree to disagree.
Cliche.
And we've lost that ability, I feel like, as a country, as a community, as a nation, to just say, you know what, my perspective's not the same as yours, and your perspective's not the same as mine, and that's okay.
Yeah, because I think it goes to, we're hunter-gatherers by nature, right? That's just what we are. We're tribal, we're hunter-gatherers, that's just, it's in our DNA. It's what makes us up. And so when we get to America, what's the first thing we wanted to do? Explore and grow, explore and grow, explore and grow. Well, that's the tangible part of us. We want to explore and grow. Well, in the intangible areas of our life, we also want to explore and grow.
Yeah.
So whether that's thoughts, meditation, whatever it is, we need to expand and grow. And if I feel that I'm expanding and growing and you are a threat to my thought process, I don't like it.
Right.
Right? I don't like it coming on another village that is affecting my herd that I'm trying to hunt or whatever. So there's going to be a threat there. And if there's a mental threat, I'm going to respond in any way I can. So it's boundaries, which we reject boundaries so much that once we get that boundary of questioning someone else's thinking, we feel a threat to it, so we're going to fight back. And I think that's the best way for perspective is if we have different perspective, and I think we're decent at it, and we're like thinkers.
Yeah.
But it's, you have a thought. Well, let me probe a little bit more on your thought.
Right.
I'm not going to attack your thought and tell you my thought's right. Just I'm going to go all in on your way of thinking and saying, hey, if you're a good salesman, you can sell me on your perspective.
Right.
And I've got some questions before I buy your product.
Yeah.
If you get flustered along that process of me trying to buy your product, I don't want your product. The closer you are to the truth, the more calm and still things are. If I'm so close to being right and you come and try to rattle my cage and I don't move emotionally either direction, it's probably because I'm really close to something that's really true.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to defend.
No, and I operate in terms of facts. I don't operate in terms of opinions.
Right.
I have mine, you have yours.
Yes.
If the facts back up mine, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
If they don't, I'm open-minded enough to say, you know what, you're right. Maybe that isn't the case. But this is how I see it.
Yes.
And as a community, as a nation, we used to be like that.
Yeah.
To where it just wasn't so perspective, and we'll wrap up this perspective talk. Perspective has divided our country
100%.
more so than anything else. Whether that's a media-driven perspective,
And it's the world, man. It's not just the
whether it's a
USA.
lazy perspective,
Yeah.
whereas you're not out there getting your own research, and I'm guilty of that, and I'm sure you are too.
Sure.
You're doing your own homework, and I've seen it inside the school board race. And, and the one thing that she's done is, like, when people have asked her questions, she's contacted them back, and they've held conversations. And in one circumstance, they held a conversation, and it was cordial, and it was polite, and the person that saw it didn't see it necessarily the same way, and she's probably not going to get her vote. And that's okay. That's
Right.
okay. Because this person is doing their research, and Nicole is giving her perspective on what this is. And if the two don't line up, you know what? That's all right.
Right.
You part ways, agree to disagree.
Yes.
We have lost the ability to just say, yeah, I just don't see it that way.
And as most people hate different perspectives than
Yeah.
their own, but I've learned to value those even more than someone that disagrees with me.
Yeah.
Because I think if one perspective became so overly dominant, then as a society we would drift too far to one way.
Yeah.
Right. So I am a fan of the private market and capitalists. They employ people and they do things. But I am so appreciative of the people that absolutely despise capitalism because I think there's a checks and balance.
Yeah.
And it's if there was no one to rival it and challenge it, you'd go back to the robber barons and it would get out of hand.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have people to checks and balance things, and it's just where they have to come to my perspective. There's truth to it, and there's falsehoods to it. And I have to accept that my truth is somewhere in the middle, but that person needs to be challenged.
Yeah.
And in order to challenge them, I have to go all in on this other philosophy. And we can't, and it goes to the influencers, whether they're celebrities or whoever they are, that have the airtime and the platform to influence someone. That person's blindly going to follow a celebrity, and they're all in. They don't see that, okay, there is some truth to what you're fighting against.
Right.
Competition's a good thing. We need competition in the workforce of America.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we can speak directly to it. It was 12 cents a minute, 11 cents a minute, 10 cents a minute, 9 cents a minute, 8 cents a minute, right? Because there's competition.
Yeah.
And then it went away to nothing. Cell phones. You got Verizon. You got multiple people that T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, Cricket. If Verizon had zero competition, what are we going to pay for a cell phone? They dictate all the terms.
It's true.
And we don't want that.
No, and
So we don't want the monopolies.
It goes back to, I try, and it's not always the case, but I try to always have my perspective, my opinion backed up by facts.
Sure.
If I don't have the facts, I'm open-minded to something else. I may not agree with it. In my facts, I mean, it might be something that you can find in an encyclopedia. It might also be something that I have a personal experience with. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
probably my biggest struggle of being unbiased.
Don't put the ink pen in the outlet. Why? Because one, because it's stupid. Two, you're going to get shocked. How do you know? I just know.
Yes.
You know, and I don't think there's enough. I think a lot of times our perspectives get dictated by what other people are saying that maybe or maybe not backed up by facts. And then facts get twisted.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
I had a...
you go back to history. What's your personal experience? If your doctor said it, would you do it? If you came in and you had a headache and your doctor said take these, would you take it? Yes. Okay. So you're trusting them. I'm all on board for that because they are the professionals. If your real estate agent said, hey, this is the price you should sell your house for, would you take it? Me personally, yes, I would.
If you're talking to an attorney, here's how the law works. Here's the things. Are you going to listen to that person on that counsel? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. And that's where perspective goes in, that it's good that, especially, again, Jessica being the nurse, you know, we have conversations about it, and it's just, doesn't anybody ever question that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, no. Because there is that blind faith. So I'm so thankful for... And it's like, I could look at someone and laugh and say, you are so wrong. But thank you, because it's your ignorance to this topic that brings balance to not letting something get out of hand.
Sure.
So it's.
But their perspective on that, I'm going to challenge their perspective. Is it based on facts?
So let's sit around and have the conversation of your perspective. And if I can probe it without you getting flustered, then there's something there. Yeah. If you get flustered and shut this at a good conversation, I don't think it really got warm or anything. It was just different perspectives, and the advice that I was given was, well, you don't know, educate yourself and read. Yeah. And I was taken back, and I said, what do you mean I don't understand? Well, the conversation we're having is a life experience. I don't need to read a book about the life that I lived. I lived it. Right. I felt it. That's awesome. So you cannot tell me to read a book on how behavioral. There's a governing body that governs and over behaviors. It exists. It's a real thing. So there's behavioral laws that do unto others as others do unto you. Right. There are things that you do something, there is a consequence for that action. Yeah. And you cannot sit here and tell me to read a book about being kind to other people and the cause and effects of not burning bridges and just your collective life of work, and tell me to read a book to educate myself.
Another reason not to read books.
Live life, get up off the couch and go do something. But yeah, I was so mad, and it's something that stuck with me. And it's funny because it was one of those little things that, like, I marinated and meditated on that for probably 3 or 4 days. It affected me so much that I went home to all 3 of my daughters and said, let's sit down and have a serious conversation about what you give authority over your life. And it's hard work and perseverance is it. And Audrey and I got talking. Audrey's a freshman, 14 years old, and we were talking about opportunities in life and this, I hate the word, but privilege, because nobody knows anybody's backstory to label anybody as privileged. And she said, I think if the person that has one opportunity in life is on the same level as the person that has 100 opportunities in life, because you can turn one opportunity into 100. She said, it's hard for me to believe that there's somebody out here that's functioning that doesn't have a single opportunity. So if you don't have an opportunity in life, I can't understand why they can't turn that into one, and then you can easily turn one into 100 if you're willing to work on it. And I just said, Audrey, I don't have anything to add or take away from that. And please, kiddo, for a 14-year-old, that's a huge thought process.
Keep that.
Don't ever think anything different than that ever in your life, because that is, when we grew up, work hard and you can do anything. Yeah. I don't care what you do, be great at it. Well, you don't hear those cliche things said in, those 2 good ones, said in society today anymore. They're just not as commonly heard, and it's because there's offense to that. If you work hard, you can accomplish anything. Well, I'm offended because I've worked hard my whole life and I haven't accomplished what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
No, you're just ungrateful for what you have, and you want more, and you're greedy.
You know, and we've talked about it. It's
Off my TED Talk, off my soapbox.
You said it. You've said it several times on previous shows. We are spoiled.
We are.
Life is too easy. It's too easy.
I just read a great article, and I'll share it with you. I don't know how much I want to get into it, but it's a research of a mouse utopia and what happens when you want for nothing in a society. It's numbing.
It's crazy to me, and again, staying on perspective, you know, for a 14-year-old to have that type of perspective, that's great for her. Somebody else is going to have a different one. Right?
100%.
Somebody else is going to be, well, it's not fair, it's not this. Well, you know what? What happened to the cliche? Life's not fair.
Life is
I
life.
get it.
It's not fair. It's not fair. You get circumstances, deal with it.
And not everybody is granted the same opportunities. But it doesn't stop somebody to take an opportunity that is given to you and make it better, which in turn should, theoretically, right, create other opportunities.
Right.
And then in turn, other opportunities. It's hard work. Yes, not everybody.
Yeah, so life's not fair. And there's also the rival cliche to that is, oh, I'm behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
You're still in the game.
Pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
Get off your ass and do what you think needs to be done to get you what you want. And what you want may not always be exactly what you get.
Yes.
But you can be thankful for the path that you led. There are some people that are fed by a silver spoon that have zero perspective on anything.
Yeah.
There are others that had zero that got to the point of
Alexa, play Funny the Way It Is, Dave Matthews.
that got to the point of being able to feed their kids with the silver spoon. And they have lost that perspective.
Yes.
And went the other way.
Yes.
Tell me how that's possible. Now, that's a great segue into my show of the week.
Yes.
Only because we just said that.
We moved we got a little emotionally charged.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think perspective.
This is probably my favorite perspective song there is out there. It's just, some kids walking 10 miles to school and the other one's dropping out. It's such a beautiful day and there's an apartment burning. Like, how can something burn down on a beautiful day like this? Like, it gives you opposite ends of the spectrum. Someone's broken heart becomes someone else's favorite song.
Well, and so you know what's funny?
It's such a great song.
We played Mr. Wendell.
Yes.
Before.
Yes.
It's another perspective song before we really knew exactly what we were going to get into. So yeah, it is what it is what it is. But so my show of the week, I just started it, is called Billions. It's on Showtime. If you have Amazon Prime, I believe you get access to, I don't know if it's all, but certain Showtime programming, including some of the shows. So Billions has Paul Giamatti, and I can't think of the guy's name, but he was also in Homeland.
Yeah.
He was the main character in Homeland. So it's a trader, not trader of the country, but a stock trader / hedge fund owner, rich guy. Got to where he was by not always necessarily doing it the right way, but wasn't afraid to take opportunities and earn his way all the way to the top where billions, right? He's a billionaire. And then Paul Giamatti is a U.S. Attorney General who is trying to catch this guy in what's it called when you're trading, insider trading, right? He's trying to catch him in a lot of insider trading and put this guy away. Well, in the meantime, Paul Giamatti's wife is a psychiatrist who just so happens to work for and be really good friends with the guy who owns Axe Capital, the guy we're talking about, who he's trying to put away, and just the balance of perspective and so on and so forth. It's a very, very, it's got a lot of seasons. It's got some fun. It's got some funny parts. It's got some sexy parts. It's got some crude, rude parts, and it's got some thinking parts to it. And it's like,
You know, it reminds me of Ballers. You watch that with The Rock?
Ballers was hilarious, though.
Yes.
This is not. Yes, it very. Yeah.
But yeah, some of their business decisions were like, this decision's going to affect this friendship and this and that. And it's like, what do you do? And I love those moments where you have to stop and think, whoa, I'm making a decision that's going to affect something else.
And Ballers was like a 30-minute show. This is an hour show.
Yeah, Ballers was hilarious.
But there is a lot of similarities to that.
Yeah, okay.
And so I would highly recommend that on Showtime. Billions. It's got 5 seasons. I'm kind of halfway through season 2. It's an easy watch. You know, it's like I said, the story's really good.
All right.
The characters are good. The lighting, everything's it's really simple.
Billions.
Yeah, it's 2 different families, come from 2 different perspectives.
Yeah.
Right, and they are at each other all the time, and neither one of them is always right.
Yeah, the truth is in the middle.
It's in the middle. It always is in the middle.
It's not right 50-50 middle. It might be 90-10
That's
middle,
good.
but it's in between.
Truth is in the middle.
Yes.
We are crushing cliches today.
Yeah, yes.
So
that's our goal, is to...
Perspective. I think that's enough on perspective. We talked about show of the week. Well, I think everything's about perspective, right? So
yeah, 100%. I was watching my show of the week. It's on Hulu. It's The Dark Side of the Ring. A lot of wrestling.
Wrestling, yes.
Yes.
I think that was one of my shows of the week earlier on this year.
Yeah, so I watched a lot of those, and just the way you remember things in your childhood, and you know, with the Road Warriors changing to Legion of Doom, just like their lifestyle, and it's like I think we are, as kids, we're in our bubble of the way we view wrestling.
Yeah,
real, fake,
I love
fake,
it.
Real, whatever. it's entertaining. It's men's soap operas, right? And it's so neat. But in there, every episode, I mean, they did Owen Hart, the perspective on that, which that one really had me sitting back, because it's the Hart family. And I didn't know this, but up in Canada, there's like a Hart family ranch of developing and growing wrestlers and sending them out into the wrestling world. I didn't know wrestling went like that, layers of like...
Yeah, and a lot.
It's like Wrestling University.
I was going to say, you know me, and I know you know, we've known each other a long time, to the point of, you know, I'm still the reigning defending tag team champion, right?
I remember getting the trampoline and just working the skills, man. I think we could have been great wrestlers. We're a little undersized. We were some high
I say
flyers,
that every time I watch it. I'm like, in my prime, I could have.
We did that stuff, man.
But I'm only 42. Like, this would be my prime. I'd probably be a lot bigger, have a lot more substances in my body, but you know, I could be successful at it.
Right.
You know,
with the Hart family, man, it was so crazy, because it speaks to perspective that they are mega wrestling family. They're like the royal family of wrestling.
Yeah.
And when Owen Hart fell in the ring from the scaffolding and died, his wife went after wrestling.
Yeah.
Hard to sue, like, you guys did this wrong. And you know who stuck up for wrestling and went after her to let her shut it down? The Hart family.
I didn't know that.
His own family went after her to sabotage his case, to shut it down, because of how much wrestling was an influence in their life. And if she would have crushed wrestling, she would have crushed the Hart family.
Yeah, it would have been.
And so it's that dilemma of life of, wait a second, my son died, my brother died in the ring. Do I want this empire to be crushed, or do I just want everybody to move on from this? So it was like a $19-20 million settlement out of court, just like to make it go all the way. But she's still doing a lot of things, and like under Owen Hart name up in Canada, which is really, really, really inspiring. But yeah, it's the perspective, and there's some truth to, hey, we have the we'll call it Hart University, because all of these wrestlers come and go and train, and what we're trying to feed these people into is shut down, what good are we?
Yeah.
Well, then we're shut down.
You lose
a
lot.
So hey, shut it back off of what you're trying to do. I know it's our son and our kid, but we're still giving opportunity to hundreds of other people.
Which is an amazing perspective, because you see that a lot on a lot of different shows and whatever, and you want to side with the wife, right?
I did, and then when I hear the Hart's case, it's like, so I understand that Owen died, and it's tragic and it's horrible. But if she's going to shut down opportunities for hundreds of thousands of people in the future, get the settlement, and live in his name, but let this entity continue to function because you're giving other people opportunities.
Would you say have your cake and eat it too?
Yes. Yes.
You know, and I have not gotten around to other than the Outside 3.
Yeah.
It is on my list of stuff to watch, just because I am such a huge wrestling honk. Like, to me, make believe, you know, you get enough real life, like make believe stuff like that. As a kid, it was tremendous.
I think we're going to have to wrestle, man. Kevin just called you a fake champion.
He's not true. He's not right. Wait, weren't you my tag team partner? Weren't you my partner?
I remember, like, in Heiss's backyard, man. Me
Yes.
and you would just stay on the trampoline and just drop kick
Yes.
each other, suplex each other.
What can we do?
Everybody's
Again,
playing cards. You
we
and I
were-
were still on the trampoline, like, dude, we're just freaking red from landing. Like, let's try this.
we were the
let's
Bills
try that.
Mafia before the Bills Mafia. Can you put that table there? I got to throw him through
Yes.
it. You know.
Like, everybody's growing up at that time, and we were still like, let's try this move. Let's
folks,
try that move.
This did not happen.
Hold on, we
just
mistimed that.
34 episodes ago, by the way.
We mistimed that. I know we can time up this drop kick better. Like, I actually want to feel your feet on my face, but not too hard.
Can you just stop? It's funny. So, you know, I coach baseball, right? And there's one particular player.
Yes, his back hurts from carrying you. Kevin, I don't know, man.
No, I was
Tom,
like,
I think
I was like the Coco Beware. I could take the fall, but I could do the flips, and I could put the show on. I was
Yeah.
the showstopper, the
That's
giant
great.
killer, the legend lover. I feel like I should go, woo!
And you know,
After
I
that.
very much enjoy. It's just funny, like we're like veterans or something.
Yeah.
But I very much enjoyed wrestling you because you were all in.
Oh, I was going to
You
sell
were
it.
like this is like real, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to figure out this craft of what they do.
Yeah.
I watch it every day, and I know I can get as close as I can. And I think we both have that all-in personality. That's why we were the last two on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Trying to figure
How
out
else is a 5'8" guy going to take down
Like, we were-
a guy that's 7'4"?
yeah. We were like bouncing in the suplex, like getting our timing
yeah.
down, and like
There it is.
we can get it better. We can get it better.
No, you got to really sell that move, right?
Yes, yes.
Like that part, that's always fascinated me. From the moment that you actually find out that it's not real.
Doug Retch was an absolute great person to wrestle because he was all in as well. And we used to wrestle in his basement. We'd move the furniture around and like the backs of the couches. That was like the ring. So we'd fly over the couches, jump off the couches. We'd wrestle pillows.
Oh yeah, the greatest invention ever was the wrestling buddies.
Yes.
You know how much money people saved on couch cushions and bed pillows when they created the wrestling buddy?
Yes. We had stacks of pillows. That way we could high fly off the back of the couch
Yeah.
and land. And you'd miss. Your knee would miss and slide across the carpet. Man,
I've
we
jumped
did it.
off roofs before.
Yes.
Onto cushions and mattresses and just crazy. Yes, Superfly. Yes, well, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. He's no longer with us, but he was indicted for murder too.
I saw that. So when I was watching The Dark Side, it had the
a lot
Macho
on there.
Man one, which was really, really good.
Macho Man, I seen that one. That's awesome.
But it said the greatest wrestling in that episode. So Doug's birthday, WrestleMania always fell at the end of March. So there were WrestleMania 3, I think it
Yeah.
was on his birthday.
Greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Hogan slammed King Kong, but it's
Andre,
still to this
not
day.
King Kong Bundy.
I'm sorry,
You can't get those
I'm
two
sorry.
screw up.
I didn't mean to. Sorry, Andre. But in that WrestleMania was the single greatest wrestling match of all time. Macho Man, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
That's good.
So when that was over, I remember we were 10 years old. Doug Retch was like, that's the greatest match ever. And it was phenomenal.
It was good.
And I'm watching this Macho Man thing on the dark side of the ring, and it said, this is arguably the greatest wrestling match ever with Macho Man and Ricky because they're such great technical wrestlers. They were,
Well,
it
and
reminded me of us.
The story. They built the story.
Yes.
Okay, see, I could do it again. We keep going down this path because I could do like you.
All you wrestling fans,
You are watching. Yes, come
jump
on board.
on, man. We are.
But you are going down a path of all these things today, and when you watch those shows, the dark side of the ring.
It's so nostalgic.
Yes, and like back then, 1980 something, right?
Goldberg.
Yeah. Wrestling was only on like Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yeah. And you'd have your superstar against a no-namer.
Yeah,
And now it's like
the
there's
superstar
no
win.
namers left.
No, everything's a big match,
Yes.
and then you'd have like 1 or 2 pay-per-views a year, and it was huge. And so when that happened, you're watching it, and you love it as a kid. You're growing up, and like I remember for Christmas, we got tickets to like a WWF at the time live show, and they had the railing, and it was just the greatest thing ever. Hulk Hogan was there.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember rushing to the railing as like Hillbilly Jim is going down down the ramp or down the aisle, and like I'm reaching out, and he shook my hand.
That's awesome.
And
Billy Jim was great.
yeah, and then you had the cartoons that came out, and the big business that became WWF's WWE.
Do you remember Nikita Koloff?
Oh yeah.
100% American from Minnesota. He came from the same town as Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, Minnesota. These guys, the bartenders or bouncers, and Nikita Koloff. So there's a town in Minnesota that produced massive amounts of wrestlers as well. And they're interviewing Nikita Koloff, and he's talking like this, and he's from Minnesota, and he never, ever, ever in his life had anything to do with Russia. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
I love that too when like
Because he was Lex Luthor.
well when that changes, and we got to stop talking about this because we've got time, and there's some big topics to cover left, but we will dedicate next week maybe a whole segment to more of the dark side of the ring, because I could literally, this could be a 4-hour show.
Yes.
But I love it when you get a guy like Nikita Koloff, right? And I'll use, I still watch a guy like Kofi Kingston, okay? So Kofi Kingston he comes up and he's Jamaica man, right? And he's got the green and he's got everything on, and then that character's not really working for him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he becomes still Kofi Kingston, but there's no more accent. It's all of a sudden it's gone. I'm from wherever he's from, Brooklyn, New York, or whatever it is that whatever characters you're talking about is from, and it changes over.
Yes.
It's like, and then the sheep, us, we buy into it. Like I never bought, like Coco Beware did not have parrots all over his bedroom and all over his house.
Right.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
I didn't know Stone Cold Steve Austin was tag team partners with who's a Cincinnati kid?
Brian Pillman.
Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
They were the California Blondes.
The Blondes.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yep. And he has not always been bald. Think about that. They were the Fabulous Blondes, I think.
Something.
So he's got, so Stone Cold has a pretty cool little podcast, showcast, whatever you want to call it, that he does too, called Broken Skull Sessions.
Okay.
Where he brings on current and former wrestlers, and they talk about real stuff and times in the ring and how people were supposed to sell it, or like you did a great it's fun. It's a really, really good watch.
Yeah.
Just like Dark Side of the Ring, like there's a lot of realness.
Yeah. And those guys, when they talk, it's like to get into the ring with somebody, they lose trust one another. When they
and people don't want to work with each
you're going
other
to break a back,
safe.
you're going to break an arm. Yeah, so there's a lot to that it is fake, 100%. But at the same time, there's a trust factor that.
Well, and you still have to be.
You have to hold me right. You have to hit me right. We have to time this right, like the craft that you and I worked on so diligently in high school.
Yeah.
And right out of it. So it's
and we did the best we could. We are here today.
Yes.
Because we were safe. So I would not hesitate to work in the ring with you again.
I would say it's because of our athleticism over our safety measures.
Yes. Yeah. And
we were just
our ability to
enough
bounce back and recover.
Yes.
Right? And so, so it's, I kind of forgot where I was going to go with that, but.
Perspective.
Yes, it is your perspective. My perspective is I'm old and out of shape. Well, get in shape and let's do this thing and put it back together,
Move
right?
the couches. We got this.
Again, this is episode 34.
Kevin, you coming over, man? We're throwing down,
But
dude.
this is not where it started.
We're going to get our cardboard belts.
So, no, that's awesome. That is absolutely... I've seen episodes of that. Haven't seen them all. That's a killer show of the week. That's a killer show, period. If
Yes.
you were ever a fan, like the knowledge. There's a movie, The Wrestler.
Yep.
I think that kind of opened a lot of doors to kind of the opening of behind the curtain.
Bring wrestling to Hobner.
Yeah, right? And right out there on Hobner Field. It will not happen on Talby Field.
I was getting ready to say on Talby Field.
Yeah, there's no lights there on Talby Field. It's one of the stipulations in the Talby contract is no wrestling. We don't want any of that liability.
Grappling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So we'll
we're
talk.
done.
I guarantee.
Moving on.
Yeah, we're gonna
no
talk about
segue.
that more
We're just
because that's just a
transitioning into something
super
completely
fun
different.
topic.
Let's
for
talk
me to talk.
Bengals.
Well,
Okay.
Before we talk Bengals, let's talk about a more important football team.
Ooh.
The UMass Minutemen.
Yes.
Okay. So last week,
UMass.
I just
football,
looked at
you
our
are more
notes.
important
Hold on,
than-
I just looked at our notes from last week.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll cover this one. UMass over 65. What was the score?
53-3.
So it was under,
Mm-hmm.
and I took the over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, failed. They had not let us down yet. So do you have updated? And I can look it up because I'm going to take it right now. I'm going to get back on the UMass train, the Minutemen.
So I think this is their highest odds of winning so far that I've seen.
Nobody cares
all
about
season.
winning.
Nobody cares about winning.
We want over, under.
So this is how I don't even know what to do with this information. This is their highest odds of winning yet this year, 7.3%. Toledo is a 92.7% favorite, right?
Oh, Toledo's pretty good now.
Yeah. So we have this is the wheelhouse right here, baby. Over under is 56. I'm going over on that all day.
That sounds like an over to me.
And Toledo is a 27-point favor.
Toledo's pretty good. They're going to. UMass, not so much, but it's not important on how good.
Anybody is.
It's all about.
Can these two? I don't know that Toledo's going to be as good. And UMass made another quarterback change. They brought the kid from St. Ed's,
Keep them coming.
and that's who drove them down the field to get them in field goal range in the fourth quarter.
Keep them
So
coming.
it was 50-0 going into the fourth quarter, and I was like, man, don't call off the dogs. Don't call off the dogs. We need
more
66.
points.
We need 2 touchdowns and a field goal. And when I saw Coastal Carolina kick a field goal, I was like, oh, no. Come on, guys.
No.
And then UMass drove down the field, moved it well, stalled out, and they kicked the field goal. So you got to be kidding me. And then Coastal Carolina just went to running the ball and just worked the clock, and they actually punched it in with it was like a 30-yard touchdown run from the quarterback. And it was a kid that just doesn't play much. It's their number 3 kid, so the whole student body of Coastal Carolina went nuts because it's the human victory cigars on the field, right? and he runs it from 30 yards out, which is so entertaining for the fans to see this kid get a chance, and he comes through. Flag on the play, holding, goes back. I'm like, no,
bad beats,
'cause
man.
I knew if he scored and they would have kicked it off to UMass with 2 minutes left, that's 2-minute drive. We had a chance to get the over, but that flag cost us.
There you go.
Over.
I just took it. So
I think those two teams. I think UMass will get a few points on the board, and I think Toledo themselves are going to drop close to 50. So
Toledo's good.
yeah,
They took, what was it, Notre Dame to the wire?
So I was reading a little bit. So as we like to educate ourselves and prepare ourselves, UMass used to be a part of the MAC.
Really?
Up until 2015. I think it was like 2008 to 15 or somewhere around there. They were part of the MAC conference.
Well, they were.
And just the football.
What was their What was their basketball? Was it the ACC that they were?
The
Not
A-
ACC.
A10.
The A10.
Yep.
And there was not really any football there, so that makes a lot of sense on why.
So football is independent now.
Yeah.
So they joined the MAC. They were in the CAA, which is like the Coastal Athletic Associate something. I can't remember. Never heard of it. But yeah, they can't find a home. In 1998, they were national champs in FBS.
Yeah, which is your next level.
Yes, your Division I AA, right?
Yeah.
And then they went on they had decent years up until about 2004, and that's when it kind of wheels fell off, and UMass became one of the worst college football teams in Division I college football teams. And
So enough
with
about
our
UMass,
passion there.
right? And
CBS writes an article on the worst college football teams.
correct. Yes, actually,
Friggin' We're trendsetters.
We always come up with stuff first.
Yes.
We developed the Bills Mafia and the breaking of tables.
Victor Cruz
Victor Cruz
was
is
a UMass alum.
Yes.
So
We are bringing national attention to Victor Cruz is UMass Minutemen. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they deserve attention because when it comes to the line, the over-under,
is all that matters.
it's all that matters. Whether UMass
So
is
UMass
good,
get an offense and put some points up, so we are safe
yes,
every week.
I have laid the line 56.5. You said 56. There's a hook in there for a half. Could be dangerous. You know, if it gets short, we're going to have to change our perspective on what UMass has become. But last week, you said you thought the Bengals would win by more than 12.
Yes.
You might be the Swami
Yes.
because they played probably one of the best games I had seen them play against Pittsburgh, definitely in Pittsburgh, where they just, when things kind of looked like they were bouncing back and forth, kind of nobody's really going to do a whole lot, and then all of a sudden it was left hand, left hook, boom, here's the lead. And then right before half, boom, right hook, here's the other one. And then they just kind of laid on it. They got the ball back after scoring there
I
too, and
started
just
getting
laid
so
on it.
mad
It
in the
was like,
second half. I said, "Here we go. We're gonna bangle ourselves again, man."
but it was great. It's great that like
Yeah.
you know we talked about it briefly at the beginning of the show when your
The Bengals do not smell blood.
when your defense though is playing well.
Yes, and that's the other thing I predicted, man. I said, mid-season adjustment. Understand that you have a defense that allows your organization to be a little more patient with your offense and refine some things, but invest in defense is going to carry you.
It worked for the Ravens.
And all week, what we were talking, or the outlets were talking, is, and we heard it going into the season. We heard it, but it magnified, and everybody turned the volume up on it, that Ben Roethlisberger looked awful in that game.
I love the memes.
Ben Roethlisberger is done. I said this is going to be the first step into him really
And I keep waiting for him to kind of come
opening
back.
that door of like, you're done.
Even when
Like,
he was
if there
holding
was
his-
ever a game that just showed the world that you are done, it was that game. So yeah, I feel good about that Sunday.
But here's
prediction.
what'll happen on Sunday.
And Johnny Marizzi said we were drinking stuff. Coffee, man, just black coffee. Dunkin' Donuts coffee is what I'm drinking, man.
The truth of the matter is here's what's going to happen. On Sunday, the Steelers are going to put up like 45 points with Ben
Against Green Bay.
with Ben at quarterback.
So you're calling a shootout.
Yeah, again, I what do we say? Perspective, and you learn from your experiences,
Yeah.
right? And I learned that even during that game, I'm watching it, and Ben's holding his elbow, and then his shoulder, and everything else, and I'm like, dude, I've seen this song and dance before.
I'm nervous about tonight because for this organization to do what they just did to Pittsburgh, man, I hope they didn't.
You got to beat
I
teams
hope
you're
it's-
supposed to beat.
Yes, I hope it's not a letdown game, and they're just like, oh, we finally got over that Pittsburgh hump. Guys, there's still work to do. Go back to work.
Well, I don't like the line. Okay.
Okay, what is it?
So earlier this week, it was Bengals by 7.5. I don't like that. I don't like that in the NFL, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still 7.5. So the Bengals are a huge favorite. One, they're not good enough to be a huge favorite in any game.
Yeah, I think their defense is just going to be able to rattle Trevor Lawrence's cage. I don't think he's
Man, I
got
hope
anybody
you're
to really throw to yet.
No, I hope you're right. I mean, DJ Shark, right? Nice receiver.
Right.
They've got some tools. Marvin Jones, former
think-
Bengal Marvin Jones is down there.
I think Justin Blackman is still on their payroll. Remember him from Oklahoma State?
Yes. Yeah, he was actually a heck of a receiver in
He was a
college.
monster.
Yeah. Huge game tonight. This is one of those, it's not that, your opponent, it could be anybody. It's the NFL, right? It's, and I heard one of the analysts say it's like,
It's like that trap game.
I don't know if I buy a trap game in the NFL.
We shouldn't because they're paid, but I think
if they were wearing a different color,
so that taking up free real estate in someone's head. I think Steelers have done that to Bengals for so long.
well, I think the
that they-
Bengals have done that themselves.
Fair enough.
It's
Bengals couldn't get out of their own heads.
It's the curse. It's you go back to at some point it's going to break. I'm a firm believer, and at some point this curse is going to break.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get back on the Bengals in a second, but this kind of leads me to a segue, right? So the Reds down the stretch didn't play the best baseball, right? How many did St. Louis win in a row? Was it 17, 18 games?
Yeah, they went on fire.
If St. Louis had just played basically the same level of baseball as the Reds, if the St. Louis had finished 10-6 down the stretch, the Reds would be in the playoffs. Think about that. Like, as a Cincinnati sports fan, like, not only
we had
did St.
89,
Louis
90, man, with the World Series and Super Bowl.
Like,
that was cool.
The disappointment.
Yeah.
And, different ways to lose, right?
Yeah.
Like, here the Reds have an easy schedule on paper.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, pretty much the rest of the season.
So, win games, outlast whoever. No, it doesn't work that way. Because the Cardinals are going to ramble off 18 straight wins. It didn't matter what the heck the Reds did. Like, you can't match up against that. It's like one of those Cincinnati things. It's like, really? Like, that's how they're going to blow the lead? Like, boy.
You can only control what you can do, right?
It's that. That's one of those things. It's like, man, good for the Cardinals, whatever. I hate them, but yes. So, anyway, back to the Bengals. They have a good opportunity tonight. Are they 7.5-point favorites? Not in my opinion, but that's me being Bengalized, right?
Jacksonville is such a bad football team that they have the ability to turn it into an ugly football game. And I hate ugly football games because you don't. It's just
crazy things can happen.
Yes, like they're bad and they turn it into ugly football games.
We hope the home field advantage. And I don't think there's. I think there's two sports that really help home field advantage. I think it's
football.
college basketball, and I think it's NFL football. I think college football, there is a home field advantage there, but I think the teams really know what they're getting into when they go there.
Yeah.
It's like UC going to Notre Dame, right? Like, I think there is a Notre Dame home field advantage, but I think just in general, any team that's going to Notre Dame, you kind of already expect, like, it's going to be loud. It's going to be anti-Bearcat.
Yeah.
In college football, the crowds are so big that you kind of, when you go someplace like that, like, you kind of know.
Yeah, I think home field advantages in college football is more of a rivalry thing.
Yeah.
So if USC's coming into Notre Dame, right now, I don't think UC is on that radar of national prominence powerhouse.
Easy.
Nationally.
Watch the steps you're taking.
I think the Notre Dame fans will say, oh, it's UC, versus saying, oh, Stanford's coming to town. Oh, USC's coming to town. Oh, Michigan's coming to town. So I think they turn their fan base volume up. I don't know that UC, until UC goes up into their backyard and beats them, and then Notre Dame fans are going to say, oh, hold on a second. Who's this Cincinnati team?
So, again, we like to talk about lines, right?
Is Notre Dame favored in that game?
Negative.
Really? So UC's favored.
Now, this was the other. Okay, so the line has come down. I saw UC favored by as many as 2.5. And 3 earlier in the week. UC is now a 1-point favorite at Notre Dame. Now, this is a great discussion because when this game 4 years ago, when Notre Dame signed on to take it, Tommy Tuberville was the coach. UC was a fledgling program on the decline. Notre Dame has, when Brian Kelly got hired, they went from kind of a very mediocre but high prowess, high energy, high out
B
there.
plus,
public,
A minus.
Public, very, very public team.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of storied history that helps. Yes.
So Brian Kelly comes in. Their football play raises. Their level of football raises.
100%.
They play two national championship games. They're always kind of in that top 10 range. They're losing 1-2 games a year, so they're always in decent bowls.
Yep.
And they still make a lot of money. And they're still popular, and they're still on NBC, and still all these different things.
Yes.
So when they made this game 4 years ago, I'm pretty sure they didn't see it was going to be the number 7 team in the country versus the number 8 team in the country, and I damn sure guarantee you they didn't think that UC was going to be the number 7 team in the country, and they were going to be the number 8, let alone be a 1-point dog at home
Yeah.
to the Bearcats. Right? So this game scares me more so than the Bengals game tonight. I feel like with Burrow, kind of he's getting, knock on wood, he's been really comfortable. Yeah. I thought more so last week, like he looked like a legitimate quarterback that could have done a lot more if he really needed to, but didn't need to.
I think they reined him in a little bit.
And when they
play calling,
I mean,
manage clock.
The pass to Jamar Chase near the end of the half. Oh, Jamar Chase can't catch? Really? He pulled that thing over his head off the ground, damn near.
He caught the back half of that football,
and then sucked it in the end zone and scooped it back up.
Who catches the back half of the? That was
okay. I'm done criticizing him for not catching the ball.
Right.
He can catch. Right. Burrow can obviously throw the deep ball because that seems to be working too. Mixon runs like a madman. The defense is good. Who knows how long that'll last? Just enjoy it while it does.
Yes.
Right? When you're talking about Bearcats, you know, I wipe away the whole bowl game last year with Georgia. It was a great game.
God, it was a phenomenal game.
Awesome game. Who cares? And this is, again, my perspective. It's been great to win, but at that position, you get nothing for winning.
Yeah, I think UC in that bowl game, the way I looked at it is UC, you want to be on this stage. Here you are. See what you got.
Yeah.
And I think they proved they belong on that stage. That was phenomenal. So hopefully they take that knowledge of who they are and their identity up to Notre Dame.
Which is, they should have won the game.
Yeah.
Right? On a neutral site, neutral in Atlanta, playing Georgia, right? So here's the whole other thing. If they were playing Georgia in Atlanta in a bowl game. Do you think playing at Notre Dame against Notre Dame is going to bother basically the same guys that just played
That's a good point.
Georgia
That's a great
in
point.
Atlanta?
That's a great point.
I don't know. It shouldn't.
Correct.
It shouldn't. Because if you can go to Georgia, and now Georgia is what, the number 2 team in the country? Yeah. With the same team that barely hung on, that was a worse team than Cincinnati last year in one game?
And Notre Dame did their job. They stayed undefeated.
Sure.
They had a kick return, 2 interception returns, so I don't think that their win against Wisconsin was as dominant as the score said because there were big freak play touchdowns.
Yep.
So you take away 2 picks, and they were like 66-yard pick six and like a 40-yard pick six and a kick return. Those are just freak plays, right? I mean, you can take those 3 off and changes, right? And we thought Florida State was going to be good.
Starting to get my football goosebumps on.
We thought Florida State was going to be legit, and they are 0-3? They're 0 for right now.
Yeah.
And that's
a bad.
I mean, it took everything Notre Dame had to win that game. So we shall see. I am, and it's funny because, and this is where it gets really funny, is like I'm a Notre Dame fan. I always have been.
I'm a Notre Dame fan because I want them to win so they don't steal another Cincinnati coach. That was when Kelly was here.
I'm cheering for Cincinnati this weekend because I have so many friends that are Bearcat guys. I just want my friend base to win over.
I know quite a
my
few people
favorite
that
team.
are going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe the number of.
Yeah. That would be a ton of fun if they win.
I had 2 tickets offered to me for free.
I've seen. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll be in Massachusetts.
Well, so here's the best part, right? So we talked about Nicole and her.
I'll be watching UMass football.
So she asked me yesterday. She goes, she's working the parking at Don Schwaben, which is over by Snow's, right? The German Fest. Would you be able to help at like 4:00 on Saturday with parking? And I'm like, UC plays Notre Dame. At Notre Dame.
It's a long way of saying no.
Correct. And then like today, like she's like, do you think you could help? Like she tried calling several people. So if anybody's out there, I don't think she's listening, but if you are and you can help at Don Schwaben, you would be doing me a solid if you could just go there and help her park cars for a couple hours.
Help Tom. Hashtag help Tom.
Yeah. Make that happen. Somebody, anybody. You could wear a Talby for a school board t-shirt. We'll give you one for free. Yeah.
Free
matter
merch.
of fact, I'll even throw in this local Legends hat.
Because you will.
I don't want to miss the game.
Be a legend.
Yes, you will be.
By helping out.
Yes.
Another legend.
Yes. And so.
When you help a legend, you're by default a legend.
I'm trying to do the right thing. But she asked me that, and I'm like, I didn't answer. I'm not going to give you a yes. I'm not going to give you a no. Just continue to try to find somebody else. Cause,
I'm showing a house in Rising Sun at 6:00.
That on Saturday?
No, tonight.
Tonight. Well, you'll be back in time.
Yeah, it should.
So we
I
have.
should. I live in Amelia, so that's hour and 10.
Yeah, you'll be back.
Yeah.
You can stop by here. We'll be here. We've got football practice tonight. That's really it.
All right.
So be hanging out, and I'll have the game on. My question is, do I watch the game down here, or is it nice enough to go outside? Or people, I'm a lot of times.
We've had a quiet music show, man. We've had good
That's right, yeah.
conversation. Like, let's.
Well, we won't get banned.
No, you guys will get to hear us talk. 1997.
Here we go.
Rock. Number 2. 97 Rock number 2.
What do you think it is?
97. That's grunge band era.
Or is it Green Day? 97's a little late.
Nirvana?
Well, let's find out. Oh, man. I refuse to play this.
Okay.
It's Creed. I won't play Creed. I don't play Stap on this show.
All right.
So
we'll either rock chalk or just go one direction either side of it.
do you like... Okay, so here's a question for you.
Yes.
Do you like 3 o'clock in the morning?
The song?
No, just answer the
Oh.
Like,
yes.
Okay, so you do. What do you like better, 3 o'clock in the morning or Sex and Candy?
Sex and Candy?
Alexa, play Sex and Candy by Marcy Playground.
Is that rock?
Sex and Candy.
Yeah.
By Marcy Playground.
Top rock songs.
Amazon Music.
1997. Number 2 was Creed. I went chalk with number 1.
I didn't know
We were
the name
going to
of the
go
song.
one way or the other. We were going to go 3 a.m. by Maxbox 20
right.
or Sex and Candy. I agree with you. I like Sex and Candy way better than I like 3 o'clock in the morning. That might be a controversial opinion, but it's a fact. My perspective, 3 o'clock in the morning sucks.
If
My perspective, sex good, candy good. Win.
3 a.m. I'm sleeping. I don't know what 3 a.m. is anymore.
No, exactly.
At once upon a time, 3 a.m.
I get up
was
at
Sex and Candy.
Yes, I get up at 3 to pee.
Right.
Make that song. Make that song about 3 o'clock. I got to get up and pee. That's that's where it should be.
I used to be on the dot, man, like between 4 and like 4:08, man. Every morning.
3:30, 3:30, 3:32, somewhere in that. It's.
I was talking to a guy. I had this conversation Tuesday at Dave. He's like, man, so if I wake up at 4 and have to pee, I can go back to sleep. Like, there's 0% chance I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah.
I have to get up and go. So, which led into another funny conversation with Jessica and I had about men's prostates having to pee so much. She said, I would, like, being on this perspective,
Yeah.
I would rather have to deal with pregnancy and get it over and done with than be a man and have to deal with prostate forever and just constantly having to go through that. Jessica said that. It's like, yes, score one for the men.
Well, so my opinion, and this is gonna.
She asked me my perspective, and I said I don't know because I don't know what that other side has to experience. This sucks having to pee as much as I do, but like, I don't know which one I'd rather have because I would need to sample both. And yes, I would sign up to have a kid if I could carry a baby.
So I would not. But here's what I'll tell you about that. And this is my opinion on that, and this is going to offend a lot of people. Hashtag perspective offend a lot of people. Part of it joking because I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. You've seen it firsthand. It doesn't look very pleasant. But women have been giving birth since fill in the blank. I'll fill it in for you. The beginning of time.
Not only women, but mammals.
Yes, beginning of time.
There's 7.5 billion people on the planet right now.
And it's only gotten easier
yes.
since that moment.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear any crying about giving birth.
And this is why we're majority sports, because we have no clue what we're
None
talking
whatsoever.
about.
None whatsoever. None. And
But
so,
yes.
Congratulations to all those mothers out there that have done something that has been done since the beginning of time.
Yes.
It's not unnormal.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I don't need to be shot, killed, beaten, whipped.
Joe Rogan had a take on it, like, because women running for president and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like, you're the givers of life. And you want to be the president? Like, you're greedy. Like, you want it all. And I think it's such a great take.
So we have tonight, getting back to it, we have the Bengals versus the
Who-days.
Jaguars.
Yep.
It's big, not because of just the season in general.
Tread lightly, fellas. We quickly backed out of that.
Yeah, we had to end that segment. But
That should be our Mother's Day special.
What, can we get strapped into one of those birthing things?
Oh, you've done something that's been done 14 billion
Speaking of which,
times.
we
Good
need
for
to,
you.
We need to get the your ghost hunter friends. We got to go on a ghost hunt here coming up. It's almost October.
Yeah, I'll send them another message.
We can do a live, like we do it at night in the dark.
We'll work out details.
I can do it. We'll do it. I will set aside time if we can go and do whatever it is that they do for however long they need us to do it. Man, that'd be awesome. We should do that.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
I'll even invest in a GoPro. We can invest in GoPros, and they can get our woman-like screams. But it's October. We should do that.
Yes.
And we got off topic again. So tonight, Bengals versus Jaguars, 8 o'clock.
Who day?
Without question. But you have the last 2 years, the number one picks in the draft. Joe Burrow 2 years ago, Trevor Lawrence this past year. Both of them, I would say Trevor Lawrence is more of the golden boy.
Sunshine.
Yeah, he's been
Out of high school.
the best player wherever he's been. College football, high school football, whatever.
What is the stat, man?
His freshman
in
year-
like 8 years, he's lost like 2 regular season games.
No, the
He's
first game
lost more
he lost was in Jacksonville.
Well, no, because Notre Dame beat him last year.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right.
So he has like, through high school and college, the dude has like 2 regular season losses. So he has more regular season losses in the NFL than he has in the last 8
Ever.
years. So it's I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, did you hear Justin Fields after
No.
he had a bad performance last week? His press conference was like,
I think Nagy had a bad performance. Go ahead.
He goes, yeah, I really don't know what to say. I'm not used to this. Like it was just to
Yeah.
the point of like I've never really lost a game before.
Right.
Like I don't know what emotions I should have.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence comes to the NFL, like every day you're playing against guys that could have started for Clemson
Yes.
in Alabama.
Yes.
So it's not that Lawrence is bad.
It's everybody's equally as
It's
good.
everybody is on that stage.
Yeah.
Right? But it's amazing that he comes out and is like, hey, man, he hadn't lost a game and now he's here and everybody's like, oh man, is Lawrence the guy? Yes, Lawrence is the guy, for crying out loud. The dude's freaking what, 6'4"?
Yeah,
golden
yeah.
blonde hair, extremely strong, can throw the deep ball, can
it's-
run.
What do they say? The hardest part about turning around a ship is turning around the ship. Right, so he's going into a ship of the Jacksonville Jaguars that is just going in such where the Bengals have been for so long of just bad, and you got to turn that ship around. You know, once it's turned around, it's okay, but he's got to go in there and as one person who's the golden boy.
Yeah.
So when you step into a room, you bring this aura with you, and you have. Normally, when you're the chosen one, you're polarizing.
Yeah.
So how do you carry that into turning this ship around in Jacksonville and getting them back on track?
So what's funny is
Not that I'm cheering for them to do it, because I hope the Bengals do their job tonight, but you know, for argument's sake,
Yeah, do it
I
next
want to
week.
see every do
it next week.
Figure it out, Trevor Lawrence.
and he will. He'll be fine. Trevor Lawrence will be fine. Don't be fine tonight. Be awful tonight. I'm totally fine with that.
Yes.
But
Joe Burrow's figuring it out.
that's
Zach
the thing.
Taylor's
And that's,
figuring it
that's
out.
What I was
We're
kinda,
turning this ship in Cincinnati around.
That's what I was kind of getting at is, you know, when they played in the BCS, the national championship game, where it was Burrow and LSU against Clemson and Trevor Lawrence. I had never really watched Joe Burrow.
Correct.
In and out of highlights, whatever, but I had watched Lawrence. That was his sophomore year. I'd watched him the year before, and I'm thinking, man, I kind of hope the Bengals suck again next year so we can get
so
Lawrence.
we can get Lawrence.
You know, that's like,
Yeah.
whatever it was. Like, that was my guy. Like, that was, like,
All right.
this guy is a can't miss. I am super high on Trevor Lawrence.
I'm that way with Justin Fields, man. I'm all in. I think
So,
I like him.
we watched the national championship game, and we've got, Kevin's involved in it. We've got a group of friends from high school that we have this text string, whatever. And every Sunday we are in communication, and we are talking Bengals football, and we're cussing at each other, and just it's good, it's bad, it's everything in between. And like we're watching that, we're not together. We're literally watching the national championship game at the same time in multiple different places, and we're all sending text message to each other. And LSU jumped way out, and that's when I became the believer. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm on the Burrow thing. And then it got to the point where I was like, can we just get Burrow out of here because I don't need him hurt for next year? Like,
it's Ohio boy.
Yeah, I'm like, can we just I'm done. I've seen enough. Like, okay, you're gonna win. Let's just pull him out. Like, he doesn't really need to be in the rest of the game. Like, and so I'm very happy, extremely happy with our quarterback and Joe Burrow. Love him. Super excited about the prospects there. And he hasn't done really anything to prove him wrong. Quarterbacks are going to have bad games. I thought his game against Chicago was terrible. He threw for 172 yards against Pittsburgh, and I thought it was fantastic. He only threw the ball 18 times.
Wow.
Which he could throw the ball 40 times if you actually wanted him to.
Yes.
He didn't need to. They just destroyed him.
No.
So
play defense and manage the game.
Yes, and so tonight, Burrow versus Lawrence, I look forward to a lot of the same things. I don't believe in trap games in the NFL, but I do feel like this has a trap game kind of feel with Trevor Lawrence coming in here. Eventually, he's going to get it.
That's a good point.
Let it be next week.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's big, strong dude that can run and throw. Like, he's going to get it. Like, let it be next week. Whoever you play next week, look out because here it comes. Tonight.
Be the golden child.
Yes. Tonight.
I want the knife.
Continue going. Now, tonight also, one of the things that if you listen to sports talk radio around here long enough, you know that it's been something that Cincinnati people have been clamoring for. The Bengals have a good history. Maybe not so much,
We have our dark years.
Yeah, there was dark times, right? But there was good players in that dark time too.
Yes.
The hard part was there wasn't enough of those good players.
Yes.
But in the 70s and the 80s, they had good teams, and they had good players on those teams. And so ever since, they've been clamoring for this Bengals Hall of Fame or this Bengals Ring of Honor, right? Like you see, like like the Reds have it. They have their guys, their jerseys that are retired and all that thing. Well, tonight, the Bengals are unveiling their first ever Ring of Honor. And which is one of the reasons that I've got my Boomer Esiason jersey.
Who should be.
Who eventually, I think, will get his name on that Ring of Honor. But his predecessor, Kenny Anderson, is going up tonight. Paul Brown, one of the greatest minds in football history, not just NFL and football history, is going to go up there.
The founder of the Bengals, who's got an entire organization named after him.
Correct. And started two organizations.
Yes.
Not to mention coached at Massillon, not to mention coached at Ohio State. So Ohio football is nowhere near where it is right now without one Paul Brown.
National football
is
nowhere near without Ohio football.
Bill Belichick got everything that he learned from Paul Brown. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Ohio is the heart of it all.
Kenny Anderson, and then the greatest Bengal of all time, the greatest offensive lineman of all time, finally gets his local due, Anthony Munoz, going in the Ring of Honor, which that was the easiest thing ever.
Yeah, that's...
that's one of those things I'd love to see the vote. Like, literally, if you were a person that didn't vote for Anthony Munoz...
You're an idiot.
Not just... This has nothing to do with perspective. We talk about perspective all day. Like, facts. Backing up facts. Like, that person right there, like, they need to be deported. Bottom line, you are not an American.
Check their citizenship.
Yeah, you are not an American. You are voted. Like, it's probably some bot somewhere. So nobody would actually do that.
78.
Yeah, nobody would actually do that, right? So, and then Ken Riley, who I didn't never see. I never saw Ken Riley play, but all indications are he was one of the best defensive backs of his era and belongs in the Hall of Fame. Recently, it passed away, so it's a shame that he doesn't get to see this moment. Whether he gets in the Hall of Fame or not, this is still a special honor for him. And then there will be many more to kind of follow. My opinion, you've got Boomer Esiason.
Yes.
You've got Corey Dillon. You've got
Larry Kennebrew.
Not getting in the Hall of Fame. Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco. He's
we
going to
were
get
out
there.
talk last week. David Fulcher, is he in or no? Man, he's because I still firmly believe when we let him go, that's when we lost leadership, and that's when the Bengals really we didn't
I
have anybody
love
behind.
David Fulcher. I just don't know if he. I don't know if he gets to that
Some of those
level.
SWAT
I
team
love
guys, man.
him. Love him.
James
With you.
Brooks.
Same deal. Love James Brooks. Big name, great moments.
I think Chris Collinsworth might go.
I don't think so.
Of his,
He did play a long time,
He
though.
played a long time. He was as sure-handed as any receiver.
think-
And his post NFL, what he's done for football, just being in the broadcast booth, and we
Oh, yeah,
talked about
yeah.
it. So there's like, I don't
I
understand
think Dave.
the hatred on Collinsworth.
I think Dave
like
Lapham
him.
gets in. Like Marty gets into the Reds Hall of Fame. I think Dave Lapham gets in.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know,
That's a
on,
really
on,
good
on
one.
that same front. But if you look at it, let's just go from the time they went from 1980, right?
Who else was on that offensive line, man?
Oh,
Montoya.
Max Montoya. That I could name that whole offensive line. I won't bore people with my facts and things that really don't matter, but I can name that entire
Solomon
team.
Wilcox.
Yeah, number 41. He was part of the SWAT team.
Yeah, is he in?
No,
All right.
I don't think. I don't think if any
Who on
of
Bengals defense is in? That's tough.
you could make an argument for the councilman Reggie Williams.
Yeah.
He was number 57.
Dunlap in time.
Dunlap will not get in. I think Geno Atkins gets in.
Atkins, okay. Yeah.
I think Tim Crumry eventually gets in.
Yeah, that was
You know who won't get in? Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson. Will not get in. Facts. He will not get in. I think no, Kevin. The big cat James Francis will not get in. Also, neither will Kijana Carter. I think Corey Dillon in. I think
Achilles Smith.
will not get in. I think
This is a fun game.
actually Achilles Smith can't even buy a ticket. Can't
Right.
even get a ticket.
Oh my goodness.
I think Corey Dillon, Willie Anderson gets in. I think AJ Green, without question, gets in.
Carl Pickens.
Man, I think if he'd have played longer, I think he gets in.
And I think if he didn't go out on such a sour note,
I
man,
think so.
he was
dominant.
he was a bad boy.
He was dominant. I think
Jeff Blake.
Jeff Blake turned a page. I don't think he gets in, but I think he turned a page. Carson Palmer never steps foot again in Paul Brown Stadium. Ever. If he does, I'm sure there will be
Perspective.
No facts.
He may get.
He won't get in.
So yeah, we got to go back to 80s 90s guys because right now there's still some time for them to be voted in. Right, they still got to finish careers, and I think there's still a gap between.
I think Dalton gets in. I think Green gets in. I think Dillon gets in.
Ocho Cinco.
He gets in for sure. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I think Ocho Cinco eventually gets in
Yeah.
the Hall of Fame. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, I do. Him and T.O. really took the wide receiver position, and they were great. T.O. was better. Not saying T.O. wasn't like T.O. was. He's a Hall of Famer. Clearly, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Chad took it to another level. On top of that, putting up numbers for a consistent time. He had a little bit of later in his career. He had some off-field stuff that kind of came back and that kind of got him.
Yeah.
But when he was here, and you look at it now, like man, especially all the bad teams that were here.
Tremaine Mack.
Tremaine Mack.
John Kidna, 100%.
We're not get on.
Kidna's in.
I'm going to go down the list here. Schoner, no. Icky should get a special wing.
A wing.
A special wing for just him. You know, maybe not the Hall of Fame, but
So where are we at on
if you
James
get
Brooks?
something. I love James Brooks. I just don't think it happens.
All right.
Jason Buck, number 99, no. Dave Remington, I actually saw him at Surf Cincinnati one time. He was a giant human. That's right, I said Surf Cincinnati. Remember that? Kijana Carter, probably the biggest disappointment, no fault of his own in Bengals history. Jeff Blake turned the page and got excitement. Carl Pickens from Tennessee, I'm kind of with Jeff Query. There's no way in hell that his mullet steps onto any Hall of Fame. Tremaine Mack, I think, is still on the suspension bridge somewhere, arrested for whatever it was he was doing. Bruce Kozerski, good. Offensive line doesn't get enough credit. Rich Bram, man, the funny thing about Rich Bram was they were really, really good with Rich Bram when Carson Palmer was the quarterback. And then Bram got hurt.
Sam Weiss, yes. Boom.
Oh, without question.
Jake, great call.
Yeah, Sam Weiss gets in. Sam, it's a shame that Sam isn't going to be around to see it, but Sam Weiss gets in. That dude was amazing, just person, like just in general. Like, you want to play for somebody, you want to play for Sam Weiss.
Right.
He's not afraid of saying what he needs to say. No, Brian Blados doesn't get in. Negative. You want me? I'll go down my list. I have no problem.
A little Isaac Curtis.
Isaac Curtis will get in.
Yep.
Quite possibly. Again, kind of Kenny Riley. Same deal. Kind of out of my time. I never really saw him play, but
so
you
crazy
listen.
how lopsided we are for offensive guys to defensive guys in the Bengals, and that's why we're not a storied history dominant football program.
Mike
we
Goff,
need defense.
no. Jim Breach, yes, I think Jim Breach gets a spot.
Pelfrey?
No, heck no. No.
Graham?
No, not at all. I could go down my list, right? I can go year by year. Munoz.
Yeah.
Crumry. Keep going. Blake. Blake doesn't get in. Boomer gets in.
Boomer gets in. He crushes it. Bobby Williams.
No. Bobby Williams is a no.
Should not be allowed in the USA.
Ocho Cinco gets in.
Hushmanzada.
Doesn't get in.
Ooh.
Nope, doesn't get in.
He led the NFL 2 years in a row with most receptions.
No, he doesn't get in.
He's.
No, he was good. He was the number 2.
He was good. Okay.
He was the number 2. I think AJ Green gets in. Dillon gets in. Corey Dillon gets in.
It has to.
I think Andy Dalton eventually gets in.
Yeah.
He led a period of winning football here.
I don't want to jeopardize our friendship, but Carson has a.
He's not getting in. He doesn't have an invitation. He's not getting in. Now, the only way he would get in with an asterisk because the trade that they made to get when they traded Palmer, because I think it was an inside job. I think the Bengals said, "Hey, Hugh Jackson went to Oakland, and things weren't going so well." And he said, "Hey, how about I take Carson Palmer, and I'll go ahead and give you a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick." Deal. Carson Palmer goes out to Oakland. Jackson gets fired, comes back here to become the offensive coordinator, offensive coach. Meanwhile, the Bengals get another first-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Do you know who they turned those picks into? One of them was Geno Atkins in the fourth round. Trying to think of who was the other one in the first round. Might have been AJ Green or Andy Dalton. Dalton was like the first pick in the second round.
So
that's the only thing that gets him in the Hall of Fame is the fact that what they got
rid of him and we upgraded from him leaving. Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis goes in.
He should probably be on this ballot right now.
So he should be. He should be on next year's ballot. I think this year's ballot's really strong.
Yeah.
You got it. It's your first time doing it. I think. Again, I think Dillon goes in. AJ Green goes in. I think Dalton goes in. Lewis is a good one. I think Lewis definitely belongs in there. I mean, that guy. Say what you want about the end of times, but.
And Bengals take note. Get a better defense, man. If we were to have this same conversation in Pittsburgh.
Geno Atkins goes in. I think what you have right now, I mean, I think.
If we were to have the same conversation about Pittsburgh Steelers Ring of Honor, it would be the exact conversation, but all defensive names and a few offensive names. If you're talking about Baltimore, it's all defensive names and a few offensive names.
Yeah.
If you're talking about San Francisco, it's probably balanced. I mean, they had some great defenses out there. But they had, Montana, Rice.
John Taylor,
Roger Craig,
Tom Rathman. I'm thinking Tecmo Bowl guys now. Rathman's like.
So you're probably, off the top of my head, 10 offensive guys, but you're still Dallas. I think that's a good blend of offense, defense, and then the Bengals, who was just plagued with not figuring out how to get a playoff win and be a winning program, and we're sitting here, we're thinking of their ring of honor, and we can't think of anybody that would play defense. That's my case to why defense is more important than offense.
It's true. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think
Nate Webster.
We need to play.
The Bengals song. Their theme song.
I don't know what the name of that is. So
Alexa, play the Cincinnati Bengals song.
Here's Cincinnati Bengals by Young Kyle on Amazon Music.
I've never heard this before. I don't even know if this is gonna be clean. Alexa, play "Hear Them Bengals Growl."
Hear them Bengals. That's it. Alexa, play Hear Them Bengals.
Shuffling songs by the Bengals on Amazon.
You know what? Why the heck not? Yes. No. Forget that, Kevin. We are playing the Bengals. One, because back in the 80s, I remember seeing their videos, and she
Beautiful.
you could get her poster at Spencer's Gifts. That's another Goldberg reference. Which I'm becoming a huge fan of, by the way.
Yes.
So anyway, the Bengals play the Jacksonville Jaguars tonight. UC and Notre Dame play Saturday's huge sports weekend for everybody but the Reds.
Yes, and the Cubs. Cubs are done too.
Cubs and Reds are done. We've got UMass over under 56.5. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Tonight's going to be a ball. Saturday hopefully is going to be a ball. Red season will end, and we'll move on to whatever it is we need to move on to. But hopefully Joe Burrow and the Bengals make the 3-1. Let's keep this train rolling, and we will be back next week. This song was probably made, I'm guessing, 1980.
Thank you, Frankfurt, Germany.
Yes. Yes, our
Thank
friend
you, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Boomer.
Sooner.
I'm sure he said it alone or she said it in her car. No, it's been fun. Today's been fun. We went a little long, but hopefully it's much clearer than last week. So you can also check our podcast out. It'll be online, public tomorrow at some point. Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can find podcasts, you can pretty much find ours. So, man, it's been fun. Hoo-day. Hopefully not the Jaguars. But like the Bengals would say, peace. We are